Welcome to IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors on the Inside Texas Football Channel. Here with Justin Wells and Ian Boyd, I'm filling in for Joe Cook, who is on his way to Stark Vegas out there in Mississippi to talk Mississippi State SEC injury report and the latest around the SEC. Justin, Ian, you guys doing all right this morning?
Yeah. Justin is struggling.
We're having a morning.
We're having a morning.
He's coming off of let me fix my phone. Justin is coming off of watching his Dallas Mavericks get shoved into a garbage can by an alien. It's a lot for him to process.
Listen, oh my gosh. Wemby's different. But, I think Ian understands I haven't rooted for the Dallas Mavericks since February 29th of last year or earlier this year. I don't root for the Dallas Mavericks. Like I told Joe yesterday, I said, I want Cooper Flagg to score 30 points, 12 boards, 3 assists, and lose by 25.
Yeah, Cooper.
That's my dream season. That's my dream scenario. Mavs go 0-82. They fire Nico Harrison. They fire Jason Kidd. And then we just start everything else over. Until then, there is no my Mavs. We do not have a team. We are looking.
You're just like Dirk Nowitzki these days. We don't have any Flags or Wembanyamas on the UT basketball team, but we do have Inside Texas. Of course, right now you can join for $1 and get access to the best coverage of Texas Longhorns football, basketball, baseball, recruiting, everything involved with the Longhorns, the best analysis in the game from guys like Ian and Justin, as well as Joe and I on the road. So make sure you check that out. Guys, we're going to check in on this SEC injury report first and foremost. I think two names really stand out here when you talk about the people you're really paying attention to with this Longhorn team. It's Michael Taaffe and CJ Baxter. And so, as you can see on the report, a few other names scattered around. But, Justin, the biggest news, I think, here, at least of things that we didn't quite know going into what this availability was going to say, is CJ Baxter being listed as probable. What do you think we're going to get from him in this game if that probable does turn into an available for the game?
Evan, he's barely toted the ball in a year and a half. I think the expectations need to be tempered to what you can expect from CJ Baxter. I love seeing him earlier this year. We've seen a little bit of what he used to look like, but not really what he used to look like. And he's still not at that place where he used to look like. And he's going to have to play some games before he can even approach where he started to used to looking like. And so I think the expectations for CJ Baxter need to be at a bare minimum. Going into this season, guys, he wasn't expected to get more than 5 to 7 carries the first 2 months of the season anyway. They were going to slowly bring him along slowly, even, produced another injury. And so I look, this is the Quinn Travion, I'm sorry, Trey's mom, Wisner show. He's getting these carries. Christian Clark's going to back him up. James Simon will get a little bit of flash, but I don't think you can expect anything from CJ Baxter until we see anything.
Yeah, it's October 2025. We've only had one game of the Wisner-Baxter duo. Ian, in the Texas Intel article that was dropped by Eric today, he mentioned two names, James Simon, Michael Terry. Do you see them getting some involvement, some run in this game? That wasn't someone that we really saw against Kentucky because it was really the Wisner show trying to get over the hump.
Oh boy, that doesn't seem like that'd be a very good sign if we see Michael Terry in this game. That would seem like the staff is just desperate.
Not necessarily, Ian. There's a package of plays for a freshman that's been moved to a position that can add some depth there. I don't think you have to see him, but if there's a package of plays and you do see him for a few series, I don't think that's a sign of terrible things, Boyd.
Everything is a sign of terrible things.
When they don't block up front, it's all bad. So yes.
Yeah, this doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They have like they had 6 running backs in spring.
Mm-hmm.
And only one of them really knows how to run the schemes they're trying to execute, which is Wisner. And that's it. And he's a third down back that's been pressed into service as the only guy on this offense that they really really trust to have a high volume of plays. So, everything is pretty foobar.
And it's unfortunate the guys that we're kind of talking about with like the Niblets and Terrys are also more of that pass catching third down option. Maybe get some trick plays, some reverses in the run game, but not much more than that. And then, of course, alongside Aaron Butler and Cole Hudson, who I think we kind of assumed is not going to be playing this game, you've got Michael Taft out likely until the Georgia game. Is that right, Justin?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the expectation. I'd be shocked if he wasn't suited up for Vanderbilt, but I think getting on the field, I think realistically it's Georgia.
And Ian, you can see on the other side of that, probable is Xavier Filsaime. Of course, Derek Williams is another one that's been mentioned a lot from Sarkisian, from us, about who would be taking the place of Taft. So before we fully dive into your article about avoiding disaster, just quickly, what does Filsaime bring to this defense that might be an important wrinkle with Taft out?
I think they take a step back without Taft. But Filsaime is quick. All the guys they have behind Taft are super athletic.
Yeah.
Cover ground well. I think we've seen good tackling from all of them, honestly. They've all been solid open field tacklers. Cunningham, we saw him get into a game earlier this year, and he was gliding around in the secondary. I was shocked by how good he looked covering space. Filsaime is like that as well, but we expected that. As long as they're all assignment sound, they have a lot of guys that should be able to get back and keep Mississippi State's deep passing game in front of them.
Yeah, you brought in. Yeah, keep going.
Well, you could say that Taft is. You kind of have to cover him up a little bit in a game like this.
I was about to say it's only a little bit of a drop, even though it's a massive player, because you got a guy like a Jelani McDonald back there. You got a guy like a Derek Williams. Like, if there's depth at safety that we've been talking about all offseason, this is part of it. And you got a growing Jordan Johnson-Rebel as well. I mean, you actually could get a kind of a glimpse of what the safety room could look like next year, because Jelani's not coming back. That guy's going to the league.
Yeah, that's a second
Michael Taft will graduate. So you're looking at basically maybe a Derek Williams, Jordan Johnson-Rebel. If Filsaime plays some nickel, Jonah Williams might get in because of the safety numbers now. Like, this is a position you hate losing your heart and soul of your team, especially on the defense. But you got a lot of depth back there. And Jelani McDonald, the guy who actually plays his position, is playing at a freakish level.
Yeah, there's a reason we spent 7 months this offseason talking about the depth of this defense and why it's so important for the Longhorns, because you're probably going to see at least 2 games of having Jordan Johnson-Rebel, Derek Williams, Xavier Filsaime getting a lot of important snaps. And that brings us to avoiding disaster here, Ian, an article you just produced talking about Mississippi State, how they can really exploit this Texas defense, what their offense wants to do with Jeff Lebby, who PK is very, very accustomed to coaching against. First off, it's that veer and shoot offense that we've seen before. It's odd, it's wonky. You kind of forget it exists until you see it on TV, and then you're going, this is crazy what they're doing. But gets these speedsters like Brendan Thompson behind you, tries to make uneven matchups in the box, run all over them. You saw Fluff Bothwell from Mississippi State was in that questionable tier. He's one of their best runners. I'm not sure if he's going to play, but still in that questionable. But just start us off, Ian, with this defending the veer and shoot, what this Texas defense needs to do, what PK has done in the past to remedy what Lebby wants to do.
Basically, the offense aligns in a way where you have to choose. Are you going to send your players out wide to make sure they can't hit you with quick screen passes or downfield shots? Or are you going to put guys in the box where you stop all their little veer type inside runs? And it's extremely hard to do both because they are so wide. And almost every single play, as Connor was noting the other day on the live, almost every play they run, the quarterback has like a perfunctory fake handoff or real possible handoff to the running back. So everything they do is RPO, play action, and they will punish you for whichever you choose. They're like, we're going to make you choose. Are you going to make sure you have guys in the box? You're going to make sure you have guys in coverage. And whichever one you choose will make you wrong. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and what is having a guy like Brendan Thompson out there, who I know, Justin, you're familiar with, just everyone in Texas is known a wide receiver like this, but blazing track speed that can get behind the defense.
Yeah. Track kid, that decided that football, after his third stop, football, he's starting to kind of make a niche in the sport, and you got to be happy for that kid. But yeah, his speed is undeniable. Look, he may not be the biggest kid, he may not have the best hands or run the best routes, but he can run by anybody in the game. And so that in and of itself, presents kind of a little issue where you've got to pay close attention to him. You lose a step to Brennan Thompson, you don't get it back.
Yeah, we saw that in the game. I think Tennessee was one where he had a big explosive, or no, it was Arizona State as well. Ian, what has PK done? Because this won't be the first time he's seen Levy. You saw him at Oklahoma and, of course, Mississippi State last year. So what's been the ideology? How has he been playing against this offense?
Usually PK's method is, okay, we choose that you're not going to get any easy passes and you're not going to get one-on-one easy shots downfield, and you're going to run the ball on us, and we're going to make you prove you can beat us with the patience and the physicality in the box to run. So last year they played them, and they gave Mississippi State a lot of like 5-man boxes. And it was pretty agonizing because I was in the stadium and it was like 100 degrees. And it was just run 3 yards, run 6 yards, run first down, run 3 yards. They just kept doing it and doing it. They held the ball for forever. They kept Arch Manning off the field and out of rhythm for a while till he broke out. And they couldn't score. So that was PK's deal, was like, we're going to, if we get you in 3rd and long, you're done. If you get into the red zone, we'll clamp down and we'll shut you down. In between the 20s, if you guys want to try to run dives at us for 4 yards at a time and beat us that way, have at it. And that's been his philosophy most of the times he's faced this offense. That's probably going to be the philosophy again this week, I would say. That's kind of what they did with Kentucky last week. You run the risk of your offense not getting enough possessions to get in rhythm if you do it that way.
Yep.
But you also eliminate the chance of the other team building any kind of real lead that puts situational pressure on your offense. I think Texas should be happy to play this game in the teens again and hope to just come out ahead with defense and special teams and just a few good drives on offense and win that way. So I think that's what the defensive game plan will be.
Yeah, and Justin, it's kind of scary as soon as Texas's offense goes down 7 or 10 or whatever it is. We saw that in the Florida game. So do you think this offense is going to have the ammo and the firepower to be able to come back if you see a long 15-play touchdown drive from Mississippi State early?
No, I
Where's
don't.
your key?
I don't have that faith. Prove me wrong. Prove me right. Prove me whatever. I don't think they do. I said this before the Kentucky game. A 10 spotting another team 10 is a death knell for Texas. Not because they could eventually lose, but because they're not coming back from that. Like they're not going to put together big plays like or big drives like they did against Oklahoma. We just haven't seen anything like that consistently. The key here is the defense. If the defense keeps doing what it does, Texas will be in every single game they play. Like I've got a score prediction for this game coming up. It's just like last week. Rinse, repeat. It's just like the week before. Like if someone gets to 20, I'll be moderately shocked, really. And these are, again, Texas has to start quick. And I'm tired of saying that. And I think Arch is tired of saying that. And I know Sark is tired of saying that. A 10-0 gap, just really a normal team. You in college football, you just, hey, go get the next drive, get it a 1-possession game. Let's rock and roll. With Texas, it would almost feel like more pressure for them to move the ball.
Yeah, and Ian, talk about this before we head over to their defense. Some of the other names and players in the Mississippi State offense, we know about Thompson, but you didn't have Bothwell running last year. It was Michael Van Buren at quarterback. I think he did the perfect timing celebration after he scored a touchdown last year. It's less of a dual threat now. It's Blake Shapen, veteran game manager quarterback, which I know you're a fan of a good game manager. So talk about Shapen, Bothwell, O-line, or receivers, any players that we should look out for on this offense.
Bothwell's, I think, the biggest one in this game. If he could play and be his normal self, then that worries me a little bit. because I think that gives them a better chance of if Texas dares them to run the ball every play. I think they could maybe do it and win if they have Bothwell, because he's just hard to tackle.
If he runs like Jaden Ball, they will.
Yeah. It'll be it'll look
behind those blocks. Texas was over pursuing, overshooting gaps. They were going past everybody, and Ball was just watching them fly by.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest one. The linemen are all like scrappy program guys. Chapin is very solid, not a real dual threat.
What is he, about 23, 24 years old?
Yeah. Never finished a season healthy. Never finished a season, I think. He used to be at Baylor. There's a chance that he doesn't finish this game. He's like, because Texas is going to kill this guy. They're going to hit him so hard.
If you look at the PFF grades, their backup quarterback, Kamario Taylor, gets a little bit of run.
Yeah,
he does.
He can run. He's like a big run. They have two big, talented, physical.
He's
runners.
like the Van Buren kid they had last year, in a sense.
Yeah, they'll run a Wildcat.
They've been trying to use Chapin as a bridge to these younger, talented guys, and they don't want to cross that bridge just yet.
Yeah.
If they do against Texas, it might be interesting. That could have a big beta. Like they could come in and be like, "Oh, this guy's about ready," and Texas could be in big trouble, or they could come in and just throw the game away. So
nothing says veer and shoot like running the Wildcat.
Yeah, seriously.
Levy is good at that. Yeah. Levy was there when Baylor did that to Texas in 2015. He was on that staff.
But that was. Are you talking about 2015 or 2016? Remember when they went to Waco?
2016. That was in 2016.
That was the game. Yeah, remember, I was at that game they covered. That was the game, the Deshaun Elliott fight.
Yeah.
It was a big fight. Caleb Blewett caught like the third, fourth play of the game, caught like an 80-yard pass, but got to like the 1 yard line. Baylor goes into halftime, scraps their entire, not game plan, offensive concepts, everything. Completely overhauls the offense, changes it on a chalkboard, comes out and almost beats Texas.
Yeah, Bryles,
fifth string quarterback. They weren't throw the ball either. They were just kind of running and weaving and sort of crap. Like unbelievable stuff by Art Briles. I've never seen a team change their offense in a half and almost win.
Briles and Levy both are super talented and creative within this concept. They did it to Texas again in 2022 when Gabriel was out. And it didn't really work, but he's good at it. So don't be shocked if we see that. That's for sure.
Nothing better than those Big 12 Wildcat games, and nothing better than Academy Sports and Outdoors right now for all of your needs on the sports and outdoors front. That could have said that better. Academy Sports and Outdoors proudly honors our brave military and first responders for everything you do to protect our nation and serve our local communities. We appreciate your unmatched dedication and countless sacrifices. And from October 19th through November 11th, Academy is giving you a salute with 10% off your sports and outdoors purchases at your local Academy store and online at academy.com/discount. Exclusions do apply. Thank you so much to Academy for sponsoring us. I know I'll be going over there, and we'll also be going over the comments because we got a lot of readers here in the morning. Thank you all so much for being up and with us right now. A lot of talk about offense, which we'll definitely get into as we go on to the second part of this. I also saw some talk about the referee that got suspended, completely fired, I believe it was, for that Auburn game. Justin, I know you were talking about that before in the live, but that was a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty there to look at. I mean, anytime I see something like that, I'm just reminded that we don't have to see Kevin Marr officiate games anymore. And no matter how bad and incompetent the SEC officials are, and I do think this is a conference-to-conference problem. I don't think it's just the SEC. I think referees in general are just bad. It puts in perspective, like, hey, there's an issue in each conference. There's always something like this. Kind of, you have to look over your shoulder and pay attention to. But you can't. Just no more Kevin Marr. That's all I know. Just don't give me any more Kevin Marr.
Yeah, and as we transition to offense, I know AJ, your comment was up there for a while. I wanted to get through the defense, but after the first quarter, we'll know if Texas can even move the ball at all. O-line can't hold blocks. It's over by halftime. Ian, I kind of have the same idea. If first team of 7 might just win, especially if the Texas O-line is going to play like they did against Kentucky.
I don't think this is true. Texas's offense is so sporadic and largely not contingent on O-line blocking that you never really know when they're going to hit. Like, you never know when Manning actually hits something Sark dialed up, or they just like the running back finds a crease on a run play because they actually called outside zone, or Niblet returns a kick to the 5. Like, they have a lot of fast guys on this team that can score in different ways. The infrastructure of the offense is terrible. It's like if Mississippi State shuts down Texas's offensive infrastructure, that's going to happen. That's not something we're waiting to find out, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
They might be, maybe Texas will be better than they were against Kentucky. You would hope they'll have a better plan. They'll be sharper. Mississippi State is not as good personnel wise as Kentucky, but it's not like we're waiting to find out if Texas is going to score 40 in this game. It's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, that kind of goes off of what Joshy was saying in his super chat on the screen right there. But if Sark and Co can't have built this offensive lineup a little bit better, there are some question marks about the offseason building stage. I know we've talked a lot about the offensive coordinator idea. Ian and I have both been very adamant about our takes on that. But Justin, it definitely feels like kind of a foundational problem with this offense from what they rather didn't do in the portal with offensive line, and maybe running back like Fluff Bothwell at Mississippi State, another portal implant.
Yeah, I mean, we could second guess it all day. I do think they are second guessing getting another running back. But yeah, the O-line was that I'm trying not to go off on one this morning, fellas. When you've got a pair of offensive tackles from other conferences that are all conference, that are ready to come to Texas, that are ready to sign up and get and enroll, and you've got an O-line coach that says, "Nah, bro, we're good. We got guys. We've got development." No, you don't. It's an arrogance is what it is, because for every Kelvin Banks and every Cam Williams, you take a floor guy in your cycles. But the last 3 cycles, it's been majority floor guys. You don't have the upside guys in these last few cycles like you did 3 years ago. If you're going to bank yourself on developing 3 stars year after year after year, that's fine if you develop them. If you don't, you got to fix it. Texas had a prime opportunity to fix this in the offseason. They knew they wanted to add guys, especially coming out of the spring. They chose not to. And I think we're going to see the repercussions of that one decision probably 3 months from now.
One other thing on this, the killer is like, I don't really like the argument that like 5 years in and this is what Sark has, as though this year was the culmination of everything Sark has done. 5 years is deep in enough where you will get ebbs and flows.
Right. I believe that.
The problem is not that this is an ebb year. The problem is that there were expectations that it would be better than last year because Arch Manning was taking over, because they had all these talented guys waiting in the wings, and because the last 2 years, the offense wasn't that amazing. So we thought the offense was going like this, and then we were going to see a higher form of Sarkisian offense this year as Manning and different components unlocked a higher level. And instead it went over a cliff. And so it was like, wait, was that Quinn Ewers offense your peak? Because that wasn't really that great. It was good, but it wasn't that great. And so it's those expectations and those dynamics. That's just a nuanced, nitpicky criticism, but on my part. But I don't think it's like year 5. They should have built something better than this. But it's not like having a dip. We could kind of see that it was possible that there would be a dip this year because they were losing like 7 starters to the NFL or whatever it was.
And you're seeing Blake, Blake and Joey in the chat talking about it. The portal alignment, I don't think it's this terrible thing to do for these college teams. You're seeing Oregon find a lot of success with it. At some point, it's
all programs do it. All programs do it.
And you're even seeing these like the Vanderbilts of the world, where every year you're going to see a lot of GRs and RSSRs on their roster because they're taking these G6 guys who ended up playing really well by their 4th and 5th year, and then they're taking their last year, come in and develop them just that little bit more, and suddenly they're an SEC level offensive lineman. And I think that's really the piece that's missing for this offense, along with 2 years in a row where you really only have Quintravion Wisner as your running back. It's a tough pill to swallow for Texas fans, and not what you were hoping for entering the year. But let's go and talk about this offense specifically against Mississippi State and that zone blitz that they do, something that it's going to scare a lot of our listeners and the fans with the Longhorns, because if I can think of one thing that's been killing this Texas defense, it's these disguised blitzes, these stunts, and getting the offensive line confused with who's coming at them, how many are coming at them. And even if it's only 4, and sometimes the only 2, it's been getting home. So you can just talk about this 4-man zone replacement blitz that they're doing. What's this defensive philosophy and the idea they're trying to do with these?
Yeah, I'll just say I think Josh E. Manning is totally right. Like, it shouldn't be this bad. Mm-hmm. The development of Texas offensive players at pretty much every position is pretty garbage. The strength and conditioning is garbage. There's a reason that they're not turning 3 stars into quality players, and it's because the development program is garbage. So the zone blitz, the modern zone blitz that everybody loves now, is you bring your nickel, you bring a safety, you bring a corner, you bring a linebacker, whoever it is, but you only bring one of those guys. And then if you're in a 3-down, your 3 main guys slant and rush to try to open a lane for the blitzer. Or if you're in a 4-down, one of them drops out into coverage. And so you end up playing basic plain Jane cover 3 or quarters or whatever your main coverage is, with 7 guys in coverage, but you're bringing this exotic blitz, and you're bringing a guy that's hard for the offense to see coming. And if it's the Texas offensive line, they never see him coming. It always comes out of like from behind a bush or something and jumps out at them, and they never see it coming. And then for Arch is sitting back there trying to get through progressions, and it's like, hey, you were supposed to throw hot, the nickel blitzed. He's like, I didn't know the nickel blitzed. Nobody told me. Like, everything is just chaos in front of me. I don't know where to go with the ball. I don't know where to expect things to be open. To me, it looked like they were in cover 2, and they were in cover 2, but the nickel blitzed also. And there's different ways to beat it. One way would be to just block it better. That's probably not going to happen. They should get better at it as the year progresses, probably with some dips where they get worse because they play a team like Georgia that's really good at it, or Vanderbilt or A&M. Could get better against Mississippi State, because Mississippi State is not as dangerous on these as some other teams. But the easiest way to beat it is to just run the dang ball. If you can actually just run the ball, especially with outside zone, which is a great solution to this.
Yes.
You run outside zone, you move all the gaps really quick and really hard. And that really punishes teams that are trying to fire the nickel from Hutto into the A gap. That shreds you if you're in protection trying to take a shot with a long developing double route move. If you're trying to set that up, then the Hutto to A gap blitz will kill you because you don't see it coming, and quarterback has pressure in his face. But if you're just running the ball hard the other direction, then you get easy, cheap yards where your running backs just stumble into wide open lanes because the defense gets creased. And that's what happened to Oklahoma in the Red River Shootout. And that should be what happened to Mississippi State.
Yes. James pointed out, just go get DeBoer for the offensive coordinator position. But I also see Josh, you had another one. Josh, you're on the roll this morning. Those disguised blitzes that Georgia sent last year, definitely where I first think of when I think of how Texas has been beaten over the last 2 years from a defense. And it really, 4 starters that ended up going to the NFL really hurt that.
It was that stem type blitz. And buddy, oh man, it's gonna happen again in Athens, man. Oh, they're gonna bring all sorts of stuff. It's going to be so exotic. They're going to be looking for new tiger pets in Oklahoma.
They don't have those same first-round pass rushers, at least.
Very true. Yeah, and Williams and Walker have been developing there for 2-3 years, and they got the guy.
They still have major talent. Ian's right. They don't have those same guys. They don't even have that same front like they did when they went back to back a few years ago. Like that was a Clemson, Alabama level front seven that was just dominant. They don't even have that. They have talent. Don't get it twisted, fellas. No, there's not been many schools in the country that have recruited better than Georgia in the last 10 years. They've got talent there. And when Kirby Smart smells blood, he bites.
Seriously. And they're getting by on the offensive line, but with two true freshmen are playing on that right side at times. So it's an interesting wrinkle for them. And Ian, talk about this outside zone run game, because we've talked about it a lot on Inside Texas, but just why it's so important for success for this offense.
It's one of the only things that they've looked. No, that's not quite right. It's one they've been half decent at it at times. Weisner is good at it. Baxter and the others are not really very good at it. But Weisner is good at it. And it's just a really good countermeasure to this style that has confounded Sark. And it's easy to build a deep playbook and a lot of versatility off of outside zone. You can run it a million different ways. You can involve Manning to control backside defenders. You can run play action off of it. You can run quick game off of it. You can run it from 11 personnel, from 12 personnel, blah, blah, blah. It's a play that should theoretically give Sark a platform from which to do a lot of the things he wants to do. And if they just zeroed in on one freaking thing, maybe their players could actually start to get better. They're not really getting better executing this grab bag crap. You know what this reminds me of, Justin?
What?
It reminds me of when Tim Beck got desperate in 2017 because the line was so bad. And he just started calling all kinds of crazy stuff every week. Until Tom Herman finally demoted him and just took over play calling. And then Tom Herman was like, we're going to run inside zone 30 times today. And if we only get 2 yards every time, that's better than what's been happening. That's the mindset Sark needs to take on this year.
Oh, I hate the truth there. The truth is not setting me free.
Yeah, Ian, I think the last most important stands out here is to achieve this, Sark has to commit to paring down the offense like he did against Oklahoma and accepting the limitations of this current lineup. I think, Justin, this has been a complaint and a critique of this offense this year. It just feels like they aren't operating with the offense they have. He's operating with offense he thought he had in the spring and in August. And it really does feel like he needs to hit what works, which is very limited, and use that to get through as many games as possible with how good this defense is.
Just take what they're going to give you. I think Texas can win 10 if they just take what the defense gives them. Nickel and dime, set them up little bit at a time. These plays at these long drawn out routes, there's no time for these things to develop. We talked in the last season about how, Quinn's, they really shortened what his progressions were. It was a lot of times it was just one read. Well, Arch had more going into this season. I'm curious how much they're dialing that back. Does he really need to go through 3 reads, even 4? Can he even go through 3 or 4 reads behind this line? Does he even have the time? And so there definitely needs to be tweaks here and there. But, Chris Bennett brought up something in our chat that I'd watched last night. I'll cover real quick. I've been watching the Stampede podcast with one of my good buddies, Bob Ballou and Mac Brown and Vince Young. Those guys do a tremendous job. And of course, the subject this week has been play calling. Why can't he change the play calling? Why can't he adjust? Why can't he hand it to somebody else? All that kind of stuff. Mac Brown said something. Look, I've not been in the change offensive coordinator boat. I'm not complaining about the play calling. I've seen way too many busted, potentially explosive plays go to crap because of the players. Not because Steve Sarkisian called the wrong play. Players didn't execute it. And it was there. Multiple times it was there. You can blame anybody. But I'm just telling you, I don't think it's been necessarily the play calling. Mac Brown said, Steve Sarkisian needs to bring in somebody that's as good as he is. And I instantly thought of Pete Carroll. when Pete Carroll had Sark and Lane Kiffin right there under his wings. I instantly thought of Nick Saban when he brought in guys like Sark and Kiffin and others that, bringing them along and things of that sort. We don't see that with Texas. We don't see that with Steve Sarkisian. We thought we were seeing some of that a couple of years ago. Remember, Ian, when he would bring in a couple of fired head coaches as analysts? I remember Paul Chryst did a tremendous job. Gary Patterson was there for a year. I think he taught everyone match quarters and bragged about it for the next 6 months. Like, I thought there was a pattern of that coming. Like, all right, build up the bullpen, Daddy. Larry Fedora, let's run outside zone the right way. And then they got away from that.
Well, they got Neil Brown.
No, they did. They got Neil Brown, but how? And I'm a fan, but how much is Sark letting him? And I don't know if that's the kind of talent you're looking. I don't think Neil Brown's as good as Sark.
No,
you need the smartest bosses in the world. Hire people that are smarter than they are.
I don't think the consultant thing. I think they've brought in great consultants, and they've taken great ideas from those consultants. I think the problem is that their development is garbage. So it doesn't matter if you have good ideas if you can't get your players to do it well.
Well, I tweeted about this last night. It's not just like, is he going to give up the responsibilities, but it's how attainable are they? Are they someone they can actually go and grab? Not, NFL guys might just want to stay in the NFL. You're talking about guys that already established programs. It's not going to happen. And then are they going to have a track record of success that'll please the fan base? Like, if they just get a random name that people don't know, I don't think that's actually going to make people happy. I think it's just going to ask more questions, and maybe people are going to say, oh, at least it's help. But it's got to be someone that people can kind of go and look and say, hey, I've heard that name. Hey, I like what he's got on the sheet. And then also, is he going to be a good enough coach to be better than Sarkisian and actually alleviate some responsibility? It's just a tough conversation to have.
OCs like to have their own philosophy. They like to run their own system, and the really good ones bring it with them. And the head coach knows, okay, we got to overhaul here. We got a new system coming in. So to bring an OC in, it had to be someone that has the similar, concepts and schemes and mentality, philosophy, whatever that Sark has. But again, if they just block up front, I think a lot of this point is moot. If Arch hits a couple gimmies, a couple layups every Saturday, I don't think we're having this conversation. If there's a little bit more depth at running back, if James Simon plays a little bit more explosive, I don't think this is a problem. If the tight ends were only pass catchers and they didn't have any blocking ability, I don't think this would be that much of a conversation. Ian nailed this. It's development. I think it's execution. He sees development. Either way, I don't think it's it's the worst thing in the world. I think it's fixable. I just don't know how you fix it.
Yeah, and you got some people from big jokes. Art Briles, get him in there. But definitely the Herman versus Sarkisian era talking point. I think Sugarcane Daddy had a comment about it, among other people down there. Just the development of who's doing better, who's doing worse between them. I think Slisbury also had a take. Ian, what's your take on this? Who's doing it at a better rate?
This is the confusing thing, is that people want to say that because Herman's tenure was a failure and Sark's has been way better, which it has been, that everything Sark does was way better than everything Herman did. Yeah. Which is not really true.
No.
Herman's strength program and development were a lot better than Sark's. Miles better. Yancey McKnight, miles better than what they're doing now. The guys, what Herman did a great job of was deploying developed talents. Xavier Worthy comes in, is immediately great for Texas. Quinn Ewers remarkably did not improve very much mechanically in like 4 years, right? It was it was shocking.
He got worse. Ian, he got a little worse.
He got worse. Ewers got worse at Texas. Okay. Yes. Kelvin Banks, immediately great. Jake Majors, more or less the same solid player for 4 years. Hayden Connor, slightly better, more reliable over time. Adonai Mitchell, developed somewhere else, came in, deployed really well by Texas, developed somewhere else. Matthew Golden, same thing.
I'm not quite there with you on Golden, but keep going.
Golden was great at Houston. He
Actually, Golden had been developed more than Adonai was in Georgia.
The problem with Golden
was
is
a 2-year All-American.
They also
wasn't putting up a lot. He wasn't getting that many receptions. It was quite an increase in workload for him when he got to Texas.
He was deployed better.
Yes, correct.
Well, at Houston, he was the only guy too. Like they figured out real quick cover number 2. He scored twice on Texas when they played in Houston a couple years ago. Like Golden, once people figured out Golden, Houston, they would just literally cover him.
Older guys could come in and learn higher level skills at Texas.
Yes.
Younger super talents could come in and find their skills deployed super well by Texas. Sark's play design and play calling are all next level. Developing young athletes into strong, skilled football players has not been a strength of Texas on offense.
Yep.
It's like Christian Jones. I've seen Christian Jones. Christian Jones is like a 4th year by the time Sark got a hold of him. And also, if we end up with like 1 or 2 examples out of a roster of 85 a year, like the exception proves the rule. You're looking at right now. You're looking at a situation where Sark's going to have to face this question: how is it that you, great QB guru and amazing quarterbacks coach, took this generational talent in Quinn Ewers and turned him into a 7th round pick, and are now tossing the flower of the Manning dynasty into the mud? Like, what in the world is going on? And these are difficult. It's hard to come from playoff semifinal to a low point as we're describing right now. But defense and portal transfers have covered a lot of this up, and we just haven't confronted it until now.
Yeah, Connor.
But honestly, I think that's the pattern. Sorry, Evan. That's the pattern for a lot of programs. It's not just Texas. It's not an isolated thing. A lot of programs are dealing with that. You're facing the 3-year, the guy that's 3 years older, 3 years more mature, been through more in life, been through a strength conditioning program for 3 years. He's going to be more developed than freshman you bring in. If you don't develop, you've got to develop those guys underneath. But I think that's the hard thing coaches are trying to figure right now is that balance. Because you like Nick Brooks. If Sark knew Nick Brooks had potential and Kyle Flood knew that Nick Brooks had potential, why in the hell did he not play the first month of the season? Yeah. Why did you wait until SEC play in Gainesville? Like,
I think I know why.
Balance, and I think all programs are trying to figure that out. But Texas, there's no bueno in Austin with that right now.
I think Nick Brooks tells you exactly what's going on, which is that they started the season going, Nick Brooks is our 3rd tackle. He's the future of the tackle position. We're going to put him in the crock pot and develop him to be a tackle in the future. And then they get
not a tackle, but yeah,
they get through the non-conference slate and they're like, shoot, this is way worse than we thought. This guy needs to be a guard right now. We can't afford to have this talent sitting on the bench. I know that this talent, it's not like Brooks is this super, but for what they have right now, they're like, we need this guy on the field. That's where we're at right now. We need this guy in the field. Exactly. So Justin, what you're pinpointing here is the level of disconnect for the staff between where they thought they were and where they actually are.
Yes.
Which we saw again in Kentucky when they tried to go back to grab bag offense instead of what they did against Oklahoma, because they're like, okay, we got past that. Now we can get back to what we were really going to do this year. And it's like, no, what you were really going to do this year needed to die after UTEP.
Yeah, and I think that's that whole point about needing to play Nick Brooks and him being the 3rd or 4th most talented guy on the line at this point. It shows the problems of this Texas offensive line and the development. Before we keep going, let's hear from our sponsor, Andre the Lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
Yeah, we got a comment here from Lane C. Wright talking about Sark and the OSU level of kind of assembly lining where you're just bringing in guys and each year the next guy's going to step up. I think of their offensive line as a perfect example of just effortlessly. They've gone from a lot of NFL guys to Siervald, who's now playing left tackle, wasn't doing that last year's, probably going to be a second-round pick in the NFL. Brought in 2 portal guys, had them compete. Daniel's the one who was less favored, didn't end up winning it, but just the OSU comparison, it seems like that's kind of the team that all the teams are trying to reach to now. You think of Texas and Oregon and what DeBoer's doing, but it's going to take a long time to get there with the current way that Texas is doing it.
I don't think it's going to take a long time, Evan. I think it's going to take some changes. It's going to take a few hard decisions, but no, that they're not that far away. We saw these 2 teams compete a month and a half ago in a 1-possession game. So, I don't think they're that far away. The thing I'm thinking about now is, what did Ohio State do last year that kind of put them over? Get a quarterback that's 24 years old. He's played 5 or 6 years in the league, a good quarterback, wound up getting drafted. You got a veteran guy back there. Look, the O-line at Ohio State wasn't even that great last year. I mean, they had some guys.
It was a lot better than this Bash.
No. Oh, God. Much better than this bunch here. But I'm saying, would you compare them to Georgia's or Notre Dame's or teams like that? You wouldn't. And so it's one of those things where I don't think there's that big a gap, Evan. I think Texas is still closer there. Look at the number 1 recruiting class last year. That didn't just happen. There's a path there. They just need to make a few changes. There needs to be some tough decisions, some tough conversations. But yeah, Ohio State's that's the litmus test. Right now, people are like, no, who should win it off? Who's going to beat Ohio State? Let me tell you something. Julian Sayin is one of the best looking quarterbacks in college football. That's the difference. The young quarterback is being developed. The other one is hit and miss. He's great on Saturday in Dallas. He's not great the next Saturday in Lexington. That's the difference, really. If Julian Sayin is at Texas, he probably hits a few of these gimmies. Maybe we're not having this conversation. It's tough right now, guys. It's tough on the 40.
I'll tell you 2 names at Ohio State that are responsible for so much of this. And these are 2 names that were all over the Inside Texas board back when.
He's going to say Caleb Downs and Matt Patricia.
Nope. Back when Texas donors wanted to hire or supposedly wanted to hire Urban Meyer. And the big thing was for Urban Meyer, if I go to Texas, can I get Mickey Marotti and Mark Pantoni to come with me? Those are his strength coach and his personnel department guy.
Personnel director.
He had those guys at Florida. He took them to Ohio State. Ryan Day inherited them. Those are the guys that put Ryan Day on third base for Jim Harbaugh.
Amen.
Ohio State has an awesome strength program that's won multiple national championships, and they have an awesome personnel department. And that's the first thing Herman tried to do when he came to Texas was poach guys from those departments to try to build a similar one at Texas. And it went okay. And Sark's replaced a lot of it, and Sark's version is all worse. And it's hard to match Ohio State's consistency and development without guys like that are there in there every day, keeping things churning along on the tracks.
Ian makes a really good point. There are positions at Texas that could be upgraded. I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about off the field. There are positions in the departments, personnel departments, that they could be upgraded. Ian makes an excellent point. Those guys at Ohio State were so important. That was Urban's, secret weapon. And Texas, strangely enough, is not one of the top programs in the country in that department.
It feels like they've done a solid job at identifying people in the portal that land really well at Texas. Those guys should maybe have more power to bring in more guys, honestly. But yeah, the Ohio State, those departments are top notch.
Yeah, and on that player personnel note, something that was so important last year, Rex's comments kind of talking about it all. Also, the ability to retain. I mean, they added by retaining so much from that team. Mecca Ibuka is the best rookie wide receiver in the NFL right now. He could have been doing this last year, maybe not to this level, but that was a first-round pick. You had Travion Henderson return for another year. You have Quinshon Judkins coming out of the portal, who was already an established near All-American pack. So that's going to be also key for this Texas team going forward. It's how much can you bring back, and hopefully they can get you sort of what you got from Ibuka or Henderson. But I don't think DeAndre Moore is on the level that Emeka Ibuka was in his junior year and exiting it. We can also head over to some of these SEC games that we have going on this weekend, because unless I got any other comments lingering about the Longhorns. No, I think we can head over to some of the SEC games because we got an interesting slate. It's not all these like super amazing Georgia versus Alabama's. Obviously, Texas, Mississippi State's a big one here, but the 11 a.m. is one that's intriguing to me. I think that's the one where it's Ole Miss versus Oklahoma at Oklahoma. Yeah, thank you for pulling that up, Connor. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. It's a fun matchup. I think Trinidad Chambliss is going to be playing this game. They said even though Austin Simmons is healthy. Another home game for Oklahoma. It feels like every SEC or big game for them, Ian, it is at home. But what are you seeing in this matchup?
Well, that'll change real fast when they go
quick.
At Tennessee and at Alabama. And I do think they get LSU at home. But those two road games will be something else. I am kind of confused why this line favors Oklahoma this much. It makes me wonder what's going on with Trinidad Chambliss.
I think they like Norman better. I think Vegas likes Oklahoma in Norman.
Well, I was following Sam Mays on Twitter the other weekend, and while Oklahoma was running up and down the field on South Carolina, he was like, this offensive line in this run game is still trash. South Carolina is awful, and they're blowing it, and the running backs are doing a good job, but this Oklahoma team is still soft, and they still have no idea how to run the ball.
South Carolina isn't a brutal spot.
We'll see that a little more this week against Ole Miss. Ole Miss is not they're not the blob either when it comes to run defense. You can probably run on them some. But if Chambliss is healthy, I would assume that Ole Miss is going to be able to score in the 20s, I would think, on Oklahoma. And holding Oklahoma down below 20 is not really that hard.
Yeah, and Kewan Lacey's had a good year at running back. They have the ability to run the ball there, and Chambliss brings his own threat with his legs. I think from the article that Joe put out, 5.5-point favorites there for Oklahoma. Maybe that could be a tiny bit lower, but I understand it in Norman, like Justin said. We got a few other games. Auburn, Arkansas is freeze.
That's a rock fight. Auburn, Arkansas is a rock fight.
Arkansas's numbers on the year from some of Nash Talk Texas's graphics are just hilarious for how far away their offense and defense are from each other. A big one, a top 15.
Dude, look at Austin.
Yeah, right. That's a good point. It's the complete inverse, though. A top 15 matchup here: Missouri and Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt. Great program they're building over there. They're favored by 2.5. Justin, where do you give the edge in this game? Is it the Pavia factor of Vanderbilt? Is it the pass rushers of Missouri? Who are you looking out for?
I'm wrong most of the time. I acknowledge that. But I have been waiting for Missouri to just stump their toe. Like it feels like smoke and mirrors with that bunch over there. I know Ahmad Hardy has been probably the best at breaking tackles in the SEC. Like he's been a boss. The quarterback has been more consistent. I'll give them that. And they've recruited pretty well. They've got a good class coming in 2026 if they keep everybody. Dude, Pavia at home. This dude, man, this guy.
Yeah, Johnny Manziel on the sideline.
Well, let's not bring him down. Let's not insult him. He is an incredible kid and great young man. You don't want to compare those two. But they both did play in Tyler, Texas at one point, so I think that's funny. Vanderbilt's all over Missouri. I like Vandy here. I like him at home. I think they've become like a home team that the crowd really, becomes kind of a factor. And listen, as long as you've got number 2 out there for the black and gold, they've got a shot. I think Missouri's a paper tiger. No pun intended.
Pun intended. We're going to scroll all the way down to, I think, the game that most of us are really keying into this weekend after the Texas game. A&M at LSU. You've seen some amazing performances and matchups from that game, and that hump that A&M's really got to get over. You see that number 3, it feels a little off having them be that high ranked, Ian. But with the resume they've got, the one over Notre Dame, that makes sense. So where do you see this game going? I forgot exactly what the favoring is right here. You're seeing A&M is favored in this game. So do you lean that way, Ian, or are you Death Valley all the way?
It seems like that's the only argument for LSU is Death Valley.
Yeah.
Their offense is not very good. They totally missed in the transfer portal at receiver. And they are just married to playing Harold Perkins at nickel, even though they have like one of the best young nickels in the country on the bench. Deshaun Stevens, is that his name? LSU could have like one of the best defenses in the country, but they insist on trying to jam the square into the triangle hole and playing Harold Perkins at nickel, even though this guy is like just destroys defenses. Doesn't destroy offenses like he was supposed to. He destroys his own defense with his limited skill set, and just that he has all this promise, so everybody insists that he plays, and then he puts the coaching staff in a box and that keeps them from doing anything that actually works. It's been like 4 years of this now with this guy.
Yeah.
I don't understand why A&M wouldn't just wipe the floor with LSU. But you talk to Aggies, and they are like, we can't win in that place. We can't win in that building.
That's just the battered Aggie syndrome.
Yeah, I think this team's
like. There's no way Texas A&M loses this game. None. Mike Elko is walking on water right now in College Station. He's got his wife answering questions about his future in coaching position on radio shows right now. There is zero chance Texas A&M loses to LSU. If they do, it's just not happening, guys. A&M
is an awesome jinx.
They got the J Wells stamp of approval for this game. That's going to do it for us this morning. Thank you all so much for being in the comments, being active, and talking to us today. This was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the best place to go for all your needs. Thank you so much for them for sponsoring us, and thank you, Justin and Ian, for joining me this morning. We'll talk to you throughout the day and up until this Mississippi State game when the Longhorns go on the road in Starkville. For Inside Texas, I've been Evan B. Thank y'all for watching.